What's going on, guys? We're live on Facebook. We're going to get Instagram going here. Pin a comment. Do episode EP 83 with June 10. It's so much easier to say.
Yep.
F83 with June 10 post. We're going to pin this. Perfect. We're good. All right, we're live. What's going on, guys? For those of you guys tuning in, I am here today with a good friend, Jen Thoennissen. We're going to be going live on the podcast. I'm going to wait for a few people to tune in here. What's going on, Azrith? What's going on, brother? Happy freaking Sunday, bro. You are in for a fire episode today, my friend. We're going to be launching episode 83 in the next couple of minutes. And we'll, of course, if you guys want to tune back in to the replay, make sure you guys hashtag replay. What's going on, babe, from the other room? Happy freaking Sunday. Let's go. Kate is in the other room painting a really cool portrait painting that my mom got for her. Jen and I were just kind of watching. It's a really cool, intricate painting. You can send in a custom photo. I forget the name of the company, but essentially it's like a computer generated picture where it'll have numbers 1 through 40, and each number is a different color, and she's kind of painting, in the thing. It's really cool, really cool. But yeah, anyways, guys, if you guys are just tuning in today, we are going to be talking about our journey. Jen and I met 6 to 8 months ago, and we connected through social media. I always talk about this on my podcast. It's so cool to connect with people that, if it wasn't for technology, we probably never would have met. Maybe we would have crossed paths, but I never met her prior to this. So it's the power of social media, if you allow it to, is so freaking powerful. Steven, what's going on, brother? What's going on, Steven Sella? Happy freaking Sunday, bro. Happy Sunday. I was actually just bragging about you to Jen today, man. I was just bragging today how proud I am of you, bro, and all the guys in the community. Absolutely kicking ass. But you're going to like this episode, dude, because we're going to get kind of in depth today about our journey and about, pain and pain management and finding people that you can relate to, even if that's just 1 or 2 people, because, at the end of the day, having someone in your circle when you're going through something that's really fucking hard in life is so important. It makes it that much more doable. You have someone to rely on, whether it's emotionally or mentally, or someone that you can call over, to massage your back or to cup your back, and knows how to kind of do these certain techniques on you. But we're going to get started, guys, today. Like I said before, if you guys are just tuning in and you kind of want to watch from the beginning, or you have to hop off live here, I'm going to be uploading this podcast on Facebook, Instagram, my YouTube, and then also my podcast as well, which is available where podcasts can be heard, Spotify, the Apple Podcast app. So make sure you guys don't miss this episode. I'm really excited to finally have Jen on the podcast. We've been talking about this for a very long time. So I'm going to do the intro like we always do, guys. We get on live here, wait for some people to hop on, and I'm going to count down. We'll get the podcast going, and we'll do a quick intro, and we'll get into our message today. And once again, guys, I always talk about this. If you have any questions during the duration of the podcast, you guys can ask them. It is hard for me to see my phone and Facebook as well. So you can ask them now as a reminder, but if you wanted to ask at the very end, I will address your questions at the very end of the live. So we're going live in 3, 2, 1. What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode on the Relentless Life podcast. I'm your host, Chance Galloway, and today I'm with one of my dear friends, Jen Thoennissen, otherwise known as, a lot of people call her Jen 10, much easier to pronounce. But I'm very fucking excited to finally have Jen here. We talked about this for a very long time. As you guys can see, we're both representing the Relentless Life. And Jen is just that. She's absolutely relentless in what she does. She has been through a lot of similar experiences, pain, struggle, adversity for her whole life, but specifically the last 5 or 6 years with her body and with different issues going on that she has not been able to solve yet. We're both on a very similar journey here. And I'm going to stop talking. I do a lot of talking in my podcast, and I'm going to kind of let Jen introduce herself. So you can go ahead and do that now, Jen. Let's tell everyone your
So
story a little bit.
I'm Jen. I actually am a physical therapist assistant. So I feel like God had a calling for me to go into, learning about the human body and somehow He knew I was going to end up in this situation somewhere to chance.
Yeah.
I had a lot of injuries growing up as a kid. When you look back at them, and I've definitely been in a long haul of chronic pain for the past probably, like Chance said, 5-6 years. I haven't been able to run in a long time.
Yeah.
Him and I we connected over social media, just kind of I stumbled across his page one day when he was talking about Posture Restoration Institute, and he had gone and seen, he was going to see another clinician that I've seen, and so that just we started talking and just basically hit it off from there, because he was like saying things I could relate to, and I was saying things he could relate to.
Yeah.
And, it's been a long haul, a long journey.
It has been.
That's kind of like it in a nutshell for the most part.
Yeah. It's been an incredible journey, and Jen and I we've been on our own journeys. And, we both kind of have a similar belief in God and Christianity and stuff like that. And I think it's safe to say that we both feel as though God directs people into your life for a certain reason and at a specific time in your life. Sometimes He holds back and He wants to bring someone in your life, at a later time for a specific reason. Maybe you're not ready for that person, or He brings someone in your life for a short period of time just to kind of teach you a lesson or to put you on a certain path and then say, okay, that person doesn't need to be in your life anymore. And that's, the first part, not the second part. I think that Jen and I are going to definitely be in each other's lives, for a very long time, because it's been a really cool experience to get to kind of nerd out with someone who wants to learn about the body. Jen has an experience with physical therapy. I have experience, with personal training and fitness, and together we're able to put our heads down and really try to figure out what the hell is going on, with our bodies and with our breathing and, irregularities with like certain muscular patterns and stuff like that. So I kind of want to get to the meat and potatoes of this and stay on track. As you guys know, I have really bad ADHD, so I tend to kind of go in many different rabbit holes. So Jen, I want to ask you, what was your first symptom of pain? What did that look like for you?
So for me, it was quote unquote plantar fasciitis. I mean, I had really bad just pain in my feet all the time. I was unable to stand for a long time at work, and I was, being a physical therapist, I did everything I could to try to, tackle my foot pain. And at that time, 5-6 years ago, I was isolating everything, and I was only focusing on my feet. I was doing calf stretching, I was doing heel raises. I wasn't really looking at my hips and things like that. And I was kind of fresh out of school, PT school, at that time. So I was just kind of following what I had known at the time, and learning and continuing to grow over the years. I now know that nothing works in unison. Everything is connected. There's such a deep relationship. I mean, I'm thinking that my number one issue and injury that has been basically the cause of all this, which was a very weird injury as a kid. I was hanging on a basketball hoop and a basketball rim, and a friend of mine was standing on the actual basketball hoop, and he jumped off, and I fell back, landed in cervical rotation. The thing hit me on the side of the head, and my body's never been right since. I mean, I started getting chronically tight hamstrings, things like that. I did have some IT band issues and some pain in high school, playing sports, but I mean, ever since this plantar fasciitis started, 5-6 years ago, nothing has been the same. So that was my first quote unquote symptom.
Have you seen since that happened, since the landing on your neck and that cervical rotation and those things in the beginning with your plantar fasciitis, have you seen improvements since then, or have things gotten progressively worse?
So I would say up until the quote unquote plantar fasciitis started, things have been progressively getting worse, and I didn't realize it. I started trying to figure it out and fix myself similar to your journey.
Yep.
And I did stumble across some good things that did help me initially. I've actually traveled out of the state twice. I've been to Chicago and Colorado to see specialists, orthopedic and neurological based specialists who did some dry needling and other things that did help quite a bit for a little bit. And then I also stumbled across mobility, as Chance knows. It did help me quite a bit for a little while, until I started I was stuck in that sympathetic state. I mean, I was exhaling too hard, too much, too often, and it essentially locked me up even more. And then I unfortunately got a really bad sinus infection, and ever since that's kind of locked me up out of everything. So it kind of was been a roller coaster, as you know. It's kind of like ups and downs, but now I feel more stuck than I have been in a long time. So.
Yeah. So would you say a lot of the stuff let's do that. Let's take that route. What have you tried? What have you tried to kind of get out of this pain so far? Let's talk about that.
I've tried. I mean, like I said, I've seen probably 30 plus specialists, quote unquote. And again, some of them started, when I was initially younger and stuff. I started with seeing all different PTs throughout the company I worked for, and everyone I've seen has been very. They've been trying their best. You can't fault somebody for the knowledge they don't have at the time. So they're all like thinking I'm a simple case, And again, most people I saw in the beginning were isolating things. So I mean, I've done dry needling, cupping, like all the ultrasound, all that stuff, e-stim, the stuff that's like passive. And again, that was just part of my journey. I didn't know any better at the time either. And now I'm looking for a more holistic, total body approach. I mean, it would take me probably an hour to list everything I've tried at this point. So it's just I've gone, ups and downs everywhere. Like I said, I've been out of state, so.
Yeah. So how much, if you don't mind me asking, and I've told people who know my story that I probably spent anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000. Have you spent around there, more or less?
Oh, I would say about that. Yeah. I mean, in a total of 5 years, going here and there and seeing people. But at the same time, I look at it as an investment in myself. It's a similar choice with food. If you're going to eat crappy food right now, you're going to pay for it down the line. If I'm gonna not take care of myself right now, I'm gonna be even worse off down the line. So to me, money is not an issue. I mean, obviously, I don't want to go into debt, but I'm trying to use my savings to help myself.
Yeah, I know something you and I say all the time, Jen, is that we would literally give every single penny in our bank account to feel better. Yes. Like that's how much discomfort we're in.
100%.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. I would sell my soul.
Yeah. No.
Almost if I could guarantee that I was going to be able to run again.
I'd be almost curious to see like how many people out there that either hear this or watch this podcast or live are in, because if we exist and we go through this and all the people we know with PRI and their clients go through this, I wonder how many people listening might be
on a similar journey.
Yeah, on a similar journey. Yeah.
I'm sure there's more people out there. So
what would you say? What would you say to the person that is watching this or listening to this that might not have serious pain currently? But is just not aware of that? What would you say to that person? Should they still be interested in learning about this kind of stuff?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think, growth is, continuous throughout life. And if you're not growing, then, you're not trying hard enough personally. I mean, no disrespect to anybody who, we like our comfort zone too much. It's when you get out of your comfort zone, you got to be okay with changing. You got to be ready to go. And pain is an alarm bell. If you're in pain, any kind of pain, anything, it's not something to push through. And I always try to tell my patients this and my clients and just everybody, they're always like, no pain, no gain. And that's not how it should be. You need to calm your system down, not work it even harder. So, my biggest piece of advice would be to do less, not more.
I like that. And that's kind of what PRI teaches, right? It's do less.
Yeah. Yeah. They're trying to calm you down and get you into a parasympathetic state. So
yeah. Now, so for those people watching, you already mentioned the word sympathetic, parasympathetic, and I talk about this a lot with my videos, and stuff like that. And I always say, I'm sympathetically driven, and I talk about the nasal breathing right to left, and sometimes I find myself getting too in depth because it's my old self a year or 2 years ago would have been like, "What are you talking about?" So getting back to what I was saying, what is that? What is parasympathetic? What is sympathetic? Talk a little bit about that.
So in the simplest form, basically sympathetic is if I was being chased by a lion all day, every day, that's my system is stuck and I'm just scared 24/7. Whereas in the wild, if I literally was being chased by a lion and then, somehow the lion went away, your system would then calm down. And you would no longer be in that state because the lion is gone. Well, I have a lion chasing me every day, all day, 24/7. So does Chance. We're just constantly stuck,
stressed,
trying to outrun the lion. Yes, the stress, aka
anxiety.
So anxiety, depression, everything.
I'm big on questions. I'm trying to pull out these answers for people watching this. What causes that sympathetic drive? Like, obviously there's a million different things that can cause it, but what do you think for most people can be the main cause to that?
I think a lot of it is our society today is very sedentary. We don't get outside enough. We're stuck on screens. We have stressful family lives. Everybody is unfortunately offended by every little thing these days.
Yes, very sensitive.
So yes, the sensitivities and it's just all compiled up, and it's like compound interest. It's gonna catch up
it's
to you.
It's gonna catch up, manifest.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things, but aside from people going to the gym and thinking they're trying to do their best and trying to think they're doing good for their bodies, but in the end they're actually, in most people, not all, are actually making themselves worse.
Right. You mentioned the gym a little bit. Now you obviously know, and you guys watching know, that I used to be a big gym bro and meathead, and that was my thing. I'd go to the gym for 2 to 3 hours a day, and it's a large reason why I'm in the position I'm in today with all the pain and discomfort. Give your 2 cents on on resistance training, weightlifting, working in a sagittal plane. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, just as a precursor, I don't go to the gym anymore because I can't watch people without wanting to jump in there. They're all doing it wrong. But that's
not to mention you're in pain, so you can't partake in the movements.
I mean, we are all sagittal beings. I mean, we don't do so. Sagittal plane is forward to back. Frontal plane would be side to side, lateral movements, and then there's a rotational plane around you. So we are all stuck in that sagittal plane, meaning everything we do, bicep curls, walking, squats,
deadlifts,
everything is in the sagittal plane. We're not supposed to live in the sagittal plane. We're actually supposed to live in all 3 planes of motion. And just as an example to show you how important the frontal plane is, if you think of an alligator, this is actually a PRI
concept.
It's concept analogy.
Sure.
If you think of an alligator, how they get to you, they're the strongest in the frontal plane when they do their zigzag motions.
Yeah.
The way that a wrangler gets an alligator to not be as destructive anymore is they literally put it in extension. They put in extension because you cannot work in the transverse plane and you cannot work in the frontal plane
when you're in
extension. You're stuck in extension.
That's us.
So we are basically so it is a very cool analogy that I heard recently.
I've never heard. You heard that recently?
Yeah, from PRI.
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard. So if you're in extension, that makes sense. If you're being extended is sagittal.
Correct.
It's anterior, posterior, up, front, forward, backward, and you can't move. It's locking you. You can't get from one leg to the other. You can't rotate your trunk over your hips because you're extended. You're locked out. Restricting the movement.
Yes.
Wow.
So we're basically alligators looking for a way to get out of it.
In
a sense.
Absolutely. So you've been in this pain, Jen, for 5 years. You've spent probably over $20,000, which you mentioned is an investment in yourself. And I think the same thing. We're learning, we're educating ourselves. Having practical experience with certain treatments, seeing what works, what doesn't work. So now we can explain that to our clients, our patients, stuff like that. What do you think is something that everyone should know in regards to kind of investing in themselves? Like what's something that people maybe aren't aware of that you learned through your experience?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is that we're going to find a way out of this. There is a way. I mean, stuff keeps getting better and better every day.
Yeah.
As far as technology goes, I mean, it's been a rough journey, ups and downs. I've been depressed as well.
Yep.
And it's just we just got to keep plugging along. I mean, I've gotten better before a couple times. I've seen the light at the end of the tunnel, got stuck again. And I just think that investing in yourself is the best investment you can ever do. I mean, There's a book I read. I can't remember what it was called, but I'm still single, and I'm obviously looking eventually for somebody to end up with.
Sure.
And the best way that this book put it was, you're supposed to be the person you're looking for is actually looking for. So if I'm wanting somebody is positive, upbeat, energetic, and just in the fitness industry and eats healthy, blah blah blah, then I can't go laying on the couch all day watching TV hoping that I meet that person.
It's not gonna happen.
So I have to invest in myself, be willing to get out of my comfort zone and do things that maybe I'm not a fan of, but in order to eventually meet my future husband, I would love to be able to just again meet them on a similar point in the journey, where we're both kind of going the same way. So it's only going to benefit you in the long run, and I feel like you need to be able to be comfortable with yourself and know yourself before you can, put yourself out there.
And not giving up when pain or struggle or something like that comes along, challenge. I mean, when you think about it, like I've been going through this for 7 years, you've been going through it for 5 or 6 years. That is a long time to wake up every day and not know how much discomfort or pain you're going to have to go through that day, to not know how much longer you're going to have to go on feeling this way. Like that's very challenging. Like I oftentimes think about athletes, right? Because, both of us, we were athletes prior to this happening to us. And athletes are very motivated individuals, right? They don't want to give up, but they are also prone to injuries. And when an athlete gets injured, they, it could be 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, they go to PT and then they're better and they're back into the gym. With what we're going through, it's been years. I mean, like I oftentimes like say, like, I wish I just had an injury. Like I broke a femur, like I pulled a muscle, like went to PT for 3 months. I was out of the gym and now I'm back to grinding. And it's not like that. Like people are always asking me, I'm sure you get the same thing. Like, how's your body doing? And how, are you back in the gym soon? Are you back to working out? Are you back to running? No, still not yet. Like, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that a little bit. So you said we were athletes. We still are athletes, and that's part of the reason
we are still athletes. Yes.
Why we actually have trouble getting out of our patterns that we're stuck in, because we're so dang strong. I mean, our compensation patterns are stronger than most people's in some respects. Whereas, it's interesting to see that. I forgot where I was going. That we're just trying.
We're good.
We're still athletes, and we're just trying to, get back to where we were. And
yes, no, no, you're good. I do that all the time too. That's my brain. It's like one thing, the other thing. We definitely are still athletes, and we definitely that's a very good point, because back to the lion analogy, we try too hard, and that is a large part of the issue, is that we try too hard. And with postural restoration, you're not supposed to try. You're supposed to put yourself into an optimal biomechanical position and then breathe in that position. And then essentially, if you don't have things holding you back, like dental integration or, problems with your cranium or with, your sinuses or your breathing, stuff like that, and not holding you back, you should be able to kind of make improvements. But people like Jen and I, who are very complicated cases, we have those issues holding us back. Jen's been to different dentists. She's seen an eye. She's obviously seeing issues, eye problems. She's seen eye doctors. And, I'm going to get, that turbinate reduction surgery that I spoke about with an ENT in a couple of weeks. So it's like we have these problems, but, kind of the whole moral of this podcast is going to be just telling you guys, if you come into adversity, if you face a challenge, like sometimes God is going to put something that's really, really hard in your life, and it might be there for a while, but what you have to understand is you cannot give up. You have got to keep pushing. You've got to keep looking, because, with an impossible mindset comes impossible solutions. You've got to understand that having a positive mindset and putting out positive energy will attract positive results, will attract positive solutions. And that's something I've learned on this journey, and that's why Jen and I are both big on that word relentless, is because that's what we've been. Like, how many times like we've been depressed, or we've maybe had suicidal thoughts. As much as I don't like speaking about that, it's the fucking truth. We've had anxiety. We're pretty much in an anxious, sympathetic state 24/7. Like, I grind my teeth in my sleep because I'm so hyperactive. My mind is so active. I'm tense all the time. But we don't give up. We keep going. We keep moving. We keep moving forward. What does that word like resemble to you? Relentless. Like, how do you?
I think it's a reminder to me that there is purpose in the pain.
Purpose in the pain. I like
there's
that.
There's purpose in the pain, and that, we're being relentless. We're trying not to give up. We're doing our best to get through this. And I mean, sometimes my imagination, I let it go, and I'm just like seeing myself on the other side.
Right.
However many people we're going to be able to help after we get through this ourselves. And the complexities of our own cases.
Yeah. I think oftentimes that God shows us. Yeah. Like, how many? I literally, up until year 7 of going through this with my body, I've never met one person that has physically gone through what I go through. Now, like my girlfriend, she's got plenty of issues with her body. We got to get her fixed. My mom, low back pain people have, like everyone has these issues, but like I've been actively trying to get better, and I've spent all this money. I've seen all these doctors, had all these MRIs and CAT scans and x-rays done, and still nothing. Like they're not finding anything, like, and I'm in all this pain, and I'm like, why? And I finally met someone that has gone through that for a long period of time, and it's not that I'm like happy about it, but it makes me feel a little bit easier at heart to know that I'm not alone. And I think that's a big part of it.
I would 100% agree with that, because I feel like before I met Chance, I was pretty depressed and like in a bad mental, state as well, and just ups and downs. Like you said, it's always been a roller coaster. But man, this guy right here he's become one of my best friends pretty quickly, and I'm just thankful for his relentless attitude and just always positive motivation. He's always we kind of call each other occasionally just to vent about stuff that kind of only we can understand.
Yeah.
And it's not that our his girlfriend can understand as well. My parents, my family, my friends, people can understand, but just there's a different level, I feel like, of understanding that we both can kind of understand within each other in some respects.
Yeah, and we've both kind of seen what things like flowability or PRI, those techniques have been able to do for us thus far. Even though we can't get fully neutral and make progress the way we want to, we've still seen what's possible with those things.
Yeah, that's definitely what's given me hope still, is the fact that, when I was doing well and didn't have the sinus infection, I was in a better state. I was feeling muscles I had never felt before, and I was just like, I was finally like lit up, like a fire was lit in me. And after that, it was just like, I don't know, that's kind of what's keeping me going. So
it is.
We're going to find it again.
We are. It's powerful.
Yes.
It's definitely powerful stuff. And I'm excited to finally, have someone that, as I said at the beginning of this, to nerd out with and to kind of put our minds to paper, and then try to figure out what is going on.
Oh yeah, yeah, and this is only the beginning of our journey. Like, we've only taken one PRI course together so far. We're planning on taking posture respiration again in November, so I'm super stoked for that, and just
I know that's gonna be
continuing learning and bouncing ideas off each other and just nerding out. So it's been so much fun.
Yeah, it really has been. And for those of you guys that are watching this and that might be curious, I've spoke about PRI, posture restoration, before. I've spoke about flowability a little bit, and flowability for both of us, I think, is really the end game. But if you guys are in chronic pain, if you are going through anxiety, depression, like you just don't feel good, a lot of that could be, I always talk about mental health, right? Like, I'm a big mental health advocate. I know you are too, from personal experience with it. But believe it or not, our mental health can be affected with how our body feels. We oftentimes say that our mind kind of reflects our body, and it's a two-way street, like one affects the other, but the other affects, it's back and forth. So my whole point from saying this is, if you guys do struggle with any mental health problems, I would definitely, outside of going and speaking to somebody and taking action on that, sooner than later, I would also look into your body, look into things like posture restoration. If you're struggling from low back pain, or, it hurts when you walk, or maybe hurts when you breathe, or you can't breathe really right, or you grind your teeth, or you have any sort of physical health ailment, I would definitely skip all of the other bullshit and just try to think about this posture restoration. I mean, Jen and I were not affiliated with it whatsoever. We just have seen that it, there's a lot of potential with it. They have helped thousands upon thousands of people get out of chronic pain. So I just want this channel, this live, this podcast, wherever you guys are watching, to be an outlet to dispense this education. Because for 6.5 years, and for a very long time, Jen, we've been looking and scratching our heads as to why can't I get better? I think we finally did find our answer.
I agree.
It's just now, going there or finding the right person or having the right technique. Like, for me, I'm going to get surgery. You're going to have some dental stuff done, maybe some eye stuff, right? It's holding us back. But I don't think everyone's as difficult as us.
I mean, they tell us in the first course we took, if you take the first 3 primary courses, then you can fix about, I think they said 70 to 80% of people. So
with hips and ribs.
Yeah, we're unfortunately in the 20%, 30%, that need, some other integration and stuff.
That's okay.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's going to make us learn more.
Exactly. I'm excited for the journey.
Yeah. Absolutely. Did you have anything, I think we covered a lot here in a decent amount of time. I mean, we went a pretty good time. Did you have anything that you wanted to add that maybe I didn't ask you? Anything like that today? Was there anything on your journey that you wanted to share? I know we're going to do probably a few more podcasts after this. I'm really excited though, that we were able to kind of get on here and start and talk about, where we're at and like currently, we're in pain right now. Like speaking here, like I'm not like in dire pain. Like I'm not like, oh my God, I'm dying. But it's more like a subtle uncomfortability, I guess.
Yeah, I think the only other thing I would add is that I think people need to realize that you can look at somebody and they look perfectly fine. I get this a lot from my clients and my patients that, I almost don't like to speak about it anymore, my own chronic pain journey, because people always look at me and they're like, oh, you look like an athlete. You're ripped, you got six pack, you got biceps, you got all this stuff. And it makes me want to tear up because it frustrates me in that I look perfectly fine on the outside, but on the inside, my mental state, my body. I mean, I would love to work full time again, and so I feel like sometimes people don't believe me that I'm going through something that they just can't understand and relate. And I mean, some of my family members always get upset with me, and I'm like, you just don't understand, and they think I'm offending them, and I'm not trying to. It's just the fact that they don't, they're not in my shoes, and it's just the biggest thing I would just say is, be kind to everybody and, realize that everyone is going through something that you may not even realize. And it's just don't question somebody's, journey. Yeah.
Everyone, I love, that's a really good way to end this podcast. Everyone is going through shit. Mm-hmm. Don't judge a book by its cover and realize, we're all in this thing together. We all have problems, and find that person. Jen and I found each other through social media. God put us, in each other's lives to be best friends and to kind of rely on each other to get through this. I mean, I teared up. I cried on my live 4 weeks ago. And those of you watching this, if you saw that episode, I teared up because I'm just I'm so beat up on the inside. We've taken so many hits over the last 5, 6, 7 years. And that's what makes a person relentless. When you get beat down so many fucking times and you have two options when you're face down in the mud. You say, I'm either going to pull my head out of the mud and I'm going to stand up and be prepared to take another hit, or I'm going to stay here and crumble and just die. Like every time when we're face down in the mud and we're so tight and we want to just cry and scream, we get up and we shake ourselves off. We get the mud off our face and we stop making excuses and we go to work. And we do what we have to do, and we invest in ourselves. So we schedule another appointment with the doctor. We go get another test, or we spend another $3,000, and we keep going. We keep moving forward, and that is fucking relentless. That right there defines relentless. So
I would agree. Yeah, don't give up.
Don't give up.
There's a way.
There is a way.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Amen to that. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're gonna leave it at that. You guys have been incredible. If you guys enjoyed today's episode and you want to learn more about either my journey or Jen's or anything like that, feel free to shoot me a DM, post your biggest takeaway in the comments below. And if you really enjoyed the episode, you wanted to leave a review, you can do that on the Apple Podcast app. Just click on the show, The Relentless Life with Chance Galloway, scroll all the way down, click ratings and reviews, and leave us a review. And that helps us kind of get this message out to more people, because at the end of the day, it took us a very long time to discover, PRI and flowability and things that we kind of discussed today. And we don't want it to take that long for other people. We want other people to get help. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. I will see you guys tomorrow on tomorrow's live around 12 p.m. Until then, you guys remain freaking relentless. Let's go.